Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Questions with the Queen. Me, Kia. I want to go ahead and take the time to actually thank everybody that sends in their questions. We are having to kind of mill through all of them, but something that I have noticed, and I think it's a recurring, topic that should be discussed today on Questions with the Queen is, people have asked me for my thoughts on what is going on with the roster. So that's what I'll be talking about today. But before we begin, I want to go ahead and give my husband, Steve, credit for being the question man as well as the cameraman.
What's up?
So, with that being said, let's go ahead and roll into the question, Steve.
All right. As you kind of started off with, you mentioned that, we're getting a ton of questions, especially with everything going on with COVID-19, about how the roster has genuinely changed over from what we've been used to over the last couple decades, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go through a couple of roster related questions. The first one is related to one of our favorite people to watch on the roster, and that is R-Truth. R-Truth has consistently kept it entertaining with his many runs as 24/7 champion, as well as the addition of his new game show on the WWE Network. What is it in your mind that gives R-Truth such an appeal, despite the fact that he's never going to likely be a person that's ever put into the 24 or into the WWE or Universal title picture? And also, is there anybody that you can picture from history of WWE that R-Truth could be given a good comparison to?
As you spoke, or as you were asking the question, I actually, you stated it right. We do love R-Truth in our household. That's like everybody across the board, from myself to my husband to my oldest. He's very entertaining. I view him as probably one of the most entertaining people outside of the New Day, but he's doing it solo instead of having help. He's had multiple runs at the 24/7 title. I think honestly it's meant for him, but the way he words it, and his humor and his antics and the way he goes after it, and it's just what you see it. When I first saw the title, I was like, who's gonna want to keep going after this title, and who's gonna want to keep doing, trying to make it a relevant title? And obviously, I think the perfect person is R-Truth. Now, are you asking me? Who could I compare Truth to? I think Truth is in a bracket all his own. Honestly, I don't see nobody who, like I said, probably the New Day. But if you're asking me about a solo person, I don't see anybody else who could do what Truth is doing and keep it humorous and keep it funny to the point of it keeps everybody watching or want to tune in to see what he's going to do. So,
first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. So, next question we have. After so many years of the WWE being in existence, it does seem like you see some storylines that, if you've been a person, like us who has watched for a long time, you start seeing stories that look a little familiar and seem to have very similar storylines. Do you feel that it's something about gimmicks or storylines are being redone just because we've run out of good ideas, or do you think that it was a good story back then, so you're hoping that you can run it again with just some new faces?
I think I've been watching since 2005, so I believe a lot of the storylines that I'm seeing have been reused multiple times. I know, I usually would think it's kind of lazy writing on the part of the writers, but at the same time, there have been storylines that I said, that played out that let's see how maybe it would work with a different person or a different group of people and do it. But as far as the storylines, I know there's been a hair versus hair match, and I know they're thinking about doing another one, except this go around, instead of it being two men getting their hair shaved, it's going to be, two women doing the same storyline. And so, in my opinion, lazy writing could come into play for it, but at the same time, I do want to see some of the storylines that were, that have happened before happen again with a group of different people. So.
And we sit here and on last week's On the Ring Apron, we commend, the storyline writers for Raw and SmackDown for taking their game up a notch, and they immediately follow it with Raw Underground a couple of days ago. So kind of going in the exact opposite direction, although I've seen a lot of people on social media that liked Underground. So what are your initial thoughts on using this new underground and this new kind of fight type of environment instead of straight wrestling?
I'm glad, first of all, I know it wasn't asked, but I'm glad to have Shane McMahon back. I've always thought he has brought a lot to the table with him being a McMahon, but to me, I don't think this is one of his best ideas or better ideas to have, like, a fight club, and it's an underground thing. So for me, I'm not really feeling it. I don't like it, and I'm going to be in the minority, so I'm going to be by myself when I say that. To those that like it, good for you. Me, not so much. The reason I tuned in is because I saw some of my favorite wrestlers actually going backstage and wrestling, and, I just don't think it's one of his better ideas, so.
Well, again, it's only been 1 week, so, maybe there'll be some time for it to kind of catch on, or maybe they'll run a tournament or have some kind of title that'll come in with it, but we'll see what turns of it.
Looking at what I saw, I guess, give it time, let's see where it goes. I know some of the things I saw were like big brutes, like big people, small people fighting one another. I was very interested in the whole Viking Raiders, getting in there, kind of mixing it up, seeing what they could do outside of the ring. So that was great. Now, like the women that I saw, like the dance, I feel like that was kind of, that has been something that's been used. Like, what is it, the expose with Kelly and Layla. I've seen that used, and I honestly think it really shouldn't have been used again. Leave it where it is and leave it in the past.
Well, with women's evolution and everything else, the women have tried to step up and
but
have a different platform, and then you go back to having girls dancing. That's not exactly the best path. But
I agree. To me, that shows no appeal in everything that the women have worked for. I think you're kind of stepping it back like several steps.
Okay. Well, moving to another question that we got asked. With the unique concept of all shows now being at the same location, everybody filming in Orlando and Winter Park in terms of NXT, the entire roster now being available to appear on any show virtually at any time versus being spread across the country. Do you think it would be a good idea for this limited time for them to have all people be able to appear on all shows versus being pinned to their own show, instead of it being just, held out to just, the quote-unquote trades and the women's tag champions?
I honestly, I would like to see the roster stick to their own, core group of people, and saying the more you stick with your people, the better off you will be. But at the same time, I do like the kind of mix-up of what they're doing, having different people go to different shows. All I'm going to say with that is I would like to see everybody stay protected with everything that's going around with COVID and everybody catching it and everybody, having to, even if it's just the minute version of it, I want everybody to stay protected. But I want to see people keep jumping around from roster to roster to roster. I like it. It's entertaining for me because you never know who's going to show up on what roster. You never know what's going to happen, and you could sit here and say, well, I'd like to see this person show up, but would it really happen?
Well, the entertainment value, like you pointed out, of who you never know who's going to show up, could possibly add to it. I think the fear is, the reason why you split the rosters is because you wanted more people being actively used. So you fear some folks, even some good wrestlers, potentially getting stuck in catering or stuck without stories because you have multiple stories running over different shows. Do you believe that during this time of COVID that the women's evolution has taken a step back to the point to where there are some ladies on the roster that are not being used properly or not being used at all?
I feel like on some weeks the women are used, but then on others I feel like they're not used to their ability. And we just saw as of last week they step up their game. I've seen a lot of women being pulled out of catering. I've seen a lot of women come back from injuries or just come back to actually redo a storyline that they could have done before. I feel like it depends on the week, and it depends on what storyline you're running or who's writing the story for these women. Evolution, in my opinion, some weeks have taken a step back from, women being strong, tough, fighting, and then you see stuff like karaoke, or you see stuff like women, like, tying other women's hair to ring ropes or in between steel steps or whatnot. I feel,
Someone's a little salty at Lacey Evans right now.
I am. As much as I love her, you don't do that. But the thing is, with people wanting to see women actually grind it out and fight and give it their all, I don't want to see no two-bit, story where it's you're stepping backwards with karaoke or you're stepping backwards in what we've already seen, like I said, an expose or whatnot. So I don't even know where to go with that one. I guess I'm salty.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I do feel like, COVID has forced, everything to have to change up a little bit, which kind of segues into the next question. Of course, we've, seen all the negativity of, no longer being able to travel and fans not being able to, be in attendance at events. But do you feel that there is anything positive that has come from all of this in terms of everybody being able to be at one location? One example is, you brought up Naomi earlier, and she mentioned about how her and Jimmy have been able to now be together more often because they're not having to travel the country. They come in and film a couple of days, and then, they get to be at home together for a little while, and they've spent more time together. We've heard something similar from Killian Dane and Nikki Cross as well. So, I mean, outside of just that particular, is there any other positives that you potentially have seen that maybe has come from all of this?
I like the fact that, and I will commend WWE for wanting to still stay on TV and still do what they need to do and actually have people still wrestle and give people what they want to see. I like the fact that they do have people in the crowd wearing masks or distancing or trying to distance themselves, and then having the glasses, like the glass mirrors or the glass shields up. I do like the fact that at the same time, you do like you stated, you have couples who are on different rosters, not being able to see each other or travel together, but now because you are keeping them in one central area, they are at this present moment, getting to be together, getting to work out together, getting to, relax together and spend more time doing things. And again, they do the shows and then they go home and they're able to relax until that next week, unless they have to go across all the brands. But I mean, I like it. I think I would like to see them keep it up, but I also want to get back to where everybody gets back on the road. But after the whole COVID thing is over, that it is what it is.
Safety first.
Yeah, safety among all things. But
all right, we've got time for one more, and this is one that was easily the most asked question along the way. Very surprising, but I know I've mentioned it before. Do you feel that with this, everything going on, do you think this is the perfect time for WWE to potentially consider an off-season similar to what you see in other sports? Where, after WrestleMania, you take, a month or a month and a half or so, and you go away for a while to let everybody rest up.
I honestly would love to see that happen, because you have to think these wrestlers are literally on the road all year round. They might get 1 or 2 days off to be home with their family, but you also see that these wrestlers or these superstars, these men and women, get these injuries, and they still, despite all the nagging injuries, are still on the road. So after WrestleMania, that'd be great to have them go home for a month or two, and maybe if they're looking at 3 months, and still be able to clear up the nagging injuries, be with their significant others, work out, do what they need to do, come back. Everything is rewritten. The scripts are rewritten, and the slates are wiped clean, and the writers get a chance to go home and think about different storylines they would want to see as well. So, I would like to see it happen, but we'll have to wait and see. But with all the questions being answered and all the questions that have come in, again, I want to thank everybody, and next week I will be here, same time, same day, with something different. You'll have to wait and see. But with that being said, please be safe. Sanitize, wear your face mask, do what you need to do, 6 feet apart, social distancing, and let's get back to what we're used to. So, with that being said, I'm going to sign off. I will see everybody later. Bye.